The Guild is Maximum Lawyers' community of legal entrepreneurs who are taking their businesses and lives to the next level. As a Guild member, you'll build relationships, be held accountable, and learn strategies specifically designed to get you unstuck and accelerate your plan for growth. Members are also granted exclusive access to masterminds hosted around the country. Our next event is coming up, and we're heading to Scottsdale, Arizona. There's something truly magical about the power of these in-person connections where real-time breakthroughs happen. Picture this. You're surrounded by like-minded law firm owners tackling your business and mindset challenges together. The energy is electric, the insights are transformative, and the results are game-changing. Investing in yourself is the best decision you'll ever make. The knowledge, strategies, and breakthroughs you'll gain are priceless assets that will supercharge your practice and propel you forward. Join the Guild and secure your ticket to Scottsdale at the best possible price by visiting maxlawevents.com.
Run your law firm the right way. This is the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. Your hosts, Jim Hacking and Tyson Mutrux. Let's partner up and maximize your firm. Welcome to the show.
Welcome back to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. I'm Jim Hacking.
And I'm Tyson Mutrux. What's up, Jimmy?
Good morning, Tyson. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. I think I've got a little bit of allergies. I woke up last night and my chest was kind of tight. I'm like, oh no, I've got corona. But I just think I have a little bit of allergies, but I'm fine otherwise though. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We had a good meeting in the Guild yesterday. Things are rocking and rolling. We helped our friend John Fisher get some signups for the Mastermind Experience, which is coming up. And our guest today has been to the real deal, and so have we. So I was happy to help John spread the word.
Yeah, when this one goes live, is it going to go live today or Thursday, or is it going to be after the Mastermind Experience?
I think we have one more, so it'd be after.
Okay. Well, if you have an opportunity to go to John Fisher's Mastermind Experience, I do recommend it. It is very, very good. And we've talked about it before, but it really is good. And it's just people working on your practice. Like you go and it's a mastermind. So you go and you sit in a room and you help each other out. It's a really cool experience.
Yeah. And you always get more out of hearing other people's issues. You learn things that you can tweak on your own. So it's always good. But let's get to our guest today. It's a longtime listener, first-time caller, Matt Aulsbrook, the law dog from Texas. In honor of Matt, Tyson and I have changed our Zoom names. I am the Law Octopus, and Tyson is the Law Tiger. So, Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
All right, Matt. So tell us a little bit about you, firm, and your journey.
Yeah, the lawyering, actually, yesterday was my 2-year anniversary of getting a bar card. So I'm 40 years old, so this is a second career. I was in the insurance industry for the last decade, and I'm still kind of got a foot in the water there. I've sold off most of them. I had 5 insurance agencies. I've sold off all of them except for one. So insurance provided me a good living. I became an absentee owner in my insurance agencies and stepped away and went to law school full time. Ironically enough, I stepped away as an absentee owner, went to Hawaii for a month to see if I could, step away from the business prior to starting law school. And y'all were just mentioning John Fisher. And when I was in Hawaii that month, I did a lot of reading, and I read John's book. And then I read another book by another John Morgan. And y'all were mentioning the mastermind. And ironically enough, I'm hanging with those two dudes a few months ago in February at a mastermind where, ironically enough, a few years back, I was reading their books. So it's just funny how things work out.
So, Matt, what made you – it's interesting. We've had several people on the show who've been in the insurance world, including my co-host, Tyson. Talk to us a little bit about what running a insurance agency taught you as far as running a law firm.
I think business is business. Most of the same principles apply no matter what business you're in. You've got to do marketing. You've got to hire good people. You got to bring in business and make payroll, and all those things apply no matter what business you're in. I did realize two things. Now, y'all know, and many of the listeners that I've met in the group know I'm a pretty straight shooter. So a couple of things. I went to law school, and it's not a charity event. I went to law school to make money. So two things I realized about being in insurance, that the insurance checks always cash. So that's why I went into PI, because I knew there was money in it. And number two, I knew that, my clients from the insurance agencies didn't always get a fair shake. I mean, they weren't always treated fairly when it came time to make a claim.
I will say 99.9% of insurance checks cash, but I've had multiple insurance companies go bankrupt in the middle of the claim. So that's just a nice little warning to you all. If you got some cheap podunk insurance company, you might want to switch, because they do go out of business, contrary to popular belief. So you're 2 years in, Matt. It's not a complete culture shift, but it's a definite change. You're on the other side of the coin now. So what's the transition been like? How's it been going?
It's been going great. I love what I do. I mean, listen to, colleagues in my market and around saying, well, it's not personal injury, it's not like it was back in the 80s or 90s before tort reform. And that may be the case. And, there's competition, but just was reflecting on this the other day. I mean, I grew up on a farm. I'm a country boy. So, this is easier work than hauling square-baled hay in July and August. And one of the first jobs I had out of high school was a HVAC installer. And this is certainly a better gig than crawling around in attics in July and August in North Texas.
Jim, have you ever picked up a bale of hay? Have you ever picked up a bale of clover? Is my question. You ever picked up a clover?
I was just thinking about my soft hands and how the hardest job I ever had was walking old ladies from their car into Dillard. So the answer to all these questions is no. I have a hard time cutting the grass. All right, Matt. So 2 years. Well, I know it's a second career for you, but I also know that you spent a lot of time on self-improvement. You obviously came up to St. Louis last year for MaxLawCon 2019, which is where we met. It was great to meet you. You spent the time and resources to, I know it was tough, go to Hawaii, to go to John's mastermind. What's your approach to working on Matt?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. And anytime I talk to a group of people, I always want to tell my background. I'm in recovery for drugs and alcohol. And, it wasn't anything that my parents did. I come from a good home. My parents have been married 50 plus years, still married. And, the middle-class family, nothing on their end, but in high school, I started dabbling with drugs and alcohol. And then, I went on about a 10-year run of drinking pretty hard, and I was addicted to methamphetamines. And I was arrested 8 times. Another reason that pulled me into wanting to be a lawyer, I realized that my dad paid good money for criminal defense attorneys, when I was younger. And so I saw that they made money. After I got into it, I realized criminals don't have a lot of money always. So I didn't stick with criminal law. But about a decade ago, I decided it was time to sober up, and I was introduced to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I've been sober most of the last decade. I had a brief 6-month relapse in law school. So I'm heavily involved now in lawyer recovery, in Lawyers Concern for Lawyers and the Texas Lawyers Assistance Program in Texas. And, it's definitely something that attorneys struggle with. We have, for our profession, we have one of the highest rates of addiction. And, I just want to put it out there. If there's anybody listening that's happened to struggle with drugs or alcohol or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me, and I can get you plugged into some resources wherever you're at. So, and Jim, I want to say I appreciate your vulnerability for telling your story at Max Law last year. So certainly encouraging.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was good. It hit home with a lot of people, and that certainly is how you and I connected. I remember seeing you as soon as I came off stage, and you gave me a big hug, and that's something I'll remember forever.
So, Matt, let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, because I think this might be helpful to some of the listeners. What was the turning point? Like, what made you change your mind? I'm done with all this. I want to move on with my life and get better.
Man, I just wake up one day and, hanging around junkies and trailer houses just wasn't the vision I had for my life. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and I didn't want her to leave. You live that lifestyle that I was living, and nobody really wants to stick around in a relationship. And if they do, it's because they're as messed up as you are. That's the only reason they're sticking around. So, I was ready to kind of settle down, and I didn't want her to leave. So I decided to sober up. In hindsight, and now knowing what I know about the program of recovery, you can't decide to sober up for anybody else but yourself. I mean, you have to be ready. It's that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. I mean, if somebody's not ready to sober up, they're not going to sober up. But I did, and stayed sober for a little over 5 years, and had a little relapse, but got back on track, and living a sober life now.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So let's change gears a little bit. So talk to us about your setup now with your firm. How does it work? What's your schedule like? What do you get most excited about with running your law firm as the law dog?
I'll just start by saying pretty much every aspect of my firm that you guys in the maximum lawyer community have, had an input on. I'm talking about everything I run, from pretty much all my softwares and everything is a direct result of you and the maximum lawyer community. So as far as my schedule, my morning routine is a huge deal for me. I think that sets me up for a good day. When I wake up, first thing I do is pray and read something spiritual, and try to meditate for a minute. And then I head out, and my normal routine is to go to the gym, although that's been affected here recently. But as with the times and the word pivot has been used a lot, I pivoted and started running again. And I used to run a lot, but hadn't done that in a long time. But I'm up to running 3 miles a day now. And when I go out for my workout, I usually listen to a podcast or something to, try to make myself better. A lot of times I'm listening to y'all, or, a lot of other different things. I think what you put in, affects you mentally. So try to put good stuff in.
So Matt, you've over the last couple of years, you've had to hire new employees. I don't know if you've had to fire employees. I'm sure you've probably switched case management systems or tried out new softwares, all of that. But what is it that you've struggled with the most over the last couple of years?
Yeah, all that. I know you and Jim have talked about it. About the software stuff, and to where you're going to commit to using this for 2 years and not make any more changes. And so I came in and I tried Infusionsoft and Clio, and I've switched, and Lawmatics and Filevine, and now I'm lead docket in Filevine, and I'm 2 years. I don't need to make any more changes. Like I'm good with that. But I think I've got a good software stack now, and it's a testament to you guys and the community. And hiring and firing, that's always a struggle. I think I've got a good crew now. There's 4 of us in the office. I'm the only attorney. They've all got a decade of personal injury experience. So, truth be told, they know more about lawyering really than I do. And then I've got a couple of virtual assistants. That's okay. Right now what I'm struggling with is, where to put some marketing dollars. I know you mentioned this a few episodes ago, Tyson, that you were finding some good success right now in pay-per-click. And, I've tried that in the past with not a lot of success, but I think I'm ready to dip my foot back in that water. And I've been interviewing agencies on some pay-per-click. I'm not a tech guy, so that's not something that I really want to take on myself. But, I've been interviewing people, but to your point, to where it may be cheaper in your market right now, the cost hadn't really gone down in my market. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, and clicks are expensive. But this is my 25th month since getting a bar card, and May's going to be my best revenue month since I've swung the doors open. We're going to do about 4 times the amount in fees this month that our average month is. So, as in PI, it takes a while for that snowball to get going, but, had a good truck wreck that's going to settle this month. So right now, to your question, I think I'm struggling with who to bring on to handle some pay-per-click.
Thanks to our sponsor, Smith AI. Smith AI is a superior receptionist service for law firms, trusted by many maximum lawyers, including me. At my immigration practice, the hacking law practice, Smith's friendly U.S.-based receptionists respond to potential clients in English or Spanish, screen and schedule new leads, and even take payment for our consults. The best part is that they don't just handle these conversations by phone, they also have live agents and chatbots capturing leads on our website through their chat widget. They serve as our friendly gatekeepers while my team and I work uninterrupted. We get new clients and we get work done. How awesome is that? If you're in a solo or small firm, I know you'll appreciate this. Plans start at just $70 a month for calls and $100 a month for chats. They even offer a totally free chatbot, so there's no excuse. Try Smith AI today and see for yourself why attorneys like me say Smith AI receptionists are the secret to business growth. Smith AI offers a free trial, and Maximum Lawyer listeners get an extra $100 discount with promo code MAXLAW100. That's MAXLAW100. Sign up and learn more at www.smith.ai. Trust me when I say, don't let another day go by. Try Smith AI.
You're listening to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. Our guest today is Matt Aulsbrook. He's a personal injury attorney from the Fort Worth area down in Texas, as you might be able to tell from his accent. Matt, what advice would you have for people who are struggling right now? People that, even in the PI sphere, what advice do you have for people either just starting their firm or trying to get new clients? What would you say?
I'd say if you're following your true passion, you're doing what you should be doing. And I'll go back to, what I just said about my morning routine. My morning routine sets me up for the day. It gets me in the right mental frame. So, I think for me, gratitude is so important. Gratitude is such a powerful emotion. And I feel like when I'm in gratitude, it overpowers other negative emotions. It's hard to be pissed off when you're grateful. So we've all got something to be grateful for. Yeah, you can think about how much business is down and signups are down depending upon your practice area. But if you got up this morning and you were able to brush your teeth with a toothbrush, you can be thankful you got the toothbrush. And when you just scale it back and take the little things like that in your life that we generally take for granted, stay grateful, put you in the right mental attitude, and I think it sets you up for success.
I couldn't agree more. It's funny. So I've talked about this before. Every night at dinner, we talk about, the funnest thing we did today, and then also, what we're grateful for. And I always try to focus on the really, really simple things, like doorknobs and light bulbs and things that are so simple that we just don't think about every day. But these are really, really important things in our lives. And the kids always focus on, toys and TV and television shows or whatever. That's fine, but I'm just trying to convey to them the message, appreciate the simple things in life as well. But I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Now I want to talk about the Texas Law Dog and why the branding of Texas Law Dog. I just Googled Texas Law Dog and you're the first one that comes up. So it's cool. It definitely comes up. What was the thinking behind all of that?
Well, it wasn't a complex thought process. My last name is Aulsbrook. I've had to spell it for other people my entire life. So the thought of having a domain with my last name was just not going to work. So I wanted lawdog.com, but that was like 10 grand or whatever. So the Texas Law Dog made sense. I bought it. I actually bought the domain prior to starting law school. So I had the forethought that, I knew when I went to law school, I was going to open up my own shop. So I just needed a bar card. And so it's that simple. Nobody can spell my last name, so I needed something else. And that's that.
I love the way that you're grateful for your bar card and the way you frame it. My clients oftentimes don't ask about getting their citizenship. They just say, I want my passport. I want my passport. So hearing you talk about 2 years since you got your bar card and all that makes me happy. Matt?
Well, to that, I will say, I mentioned that I had been arrested 8 times. So, in Texas, I'm assuming it's the same for your state too. They do a pretty thorough investigation on your background whenever they want to, think about letting you practice law in the state of Texas. So when I disclosed to the Board of Law Examiners that I had been arrested for 8 times, they had, some skepticism about giving me a bar card. So I had to, gather up. I had about, 15 or 20 lawyers write letters on my behalf saying that I can be, allowed to practice law. And one of them was the dean of my law school, who was a former federal judge. And his letter was on the top of all those letters. And so we had to go down to the Austin and go before the Board of Law Examiners. And when I presented my packet to the board and the federal judge's letter was on the top, they're like, well, we don't need to see anything else. If Judge Ferguson said you're good, we don't need to look at any more of the letters. But nevertheless, they put me on what's called probation. So I had a probationary bar card for 2 years. We're on my 2-year anniversary. So I have successfully completed all the things that they wanted me to complete over that 2-year period. And I've got the real bar card now. So a really cool time.
Fucking A, right. That is awesome. People are going to love this episode. I know it already. This is going to go down as one of our all-time best episodes.
A part of that was they wanted me to go to 3 recovery meetings a week, and one of those being a lawyer recovery meeting. And I was already going to over 3 meetings a week anyway. So that along with, staying out of trouble, I got 1 parking ticket in 2 years, man. I was watching my speeding and everything because, like, a speeding ticket's not a huge deal to the Board of Law Examiners, but you just don't want to have to tell them you got in any sort of trouble. So, man, I've been watching my P's and Q's, so maybe now I can go out and speed and not think about it.
So, Matt, tell us about 2 years from now, 2 years after you have your full bar card. What are things going to look like? And I know we're taking it day by day. I understand that, but I also know you're a man of goals. I mean, nobody goes to law school with 8 arrests and aren't an optimist and thinking that things are going to work out okay.
Man, I want to be a big player in the PI market in my space. 2 years from now, I want to have some associates. My caseload, I think, needs to quadruple. I think we've done a good job assigning cases, but the number of cases and the quality of the cases has to improve over the next 2 years. I was looking at some 2 years ahead. I've got 2 years left on my lease. I was looking at some options prior to this crisis of purchasing a commercial building. I don't know that I need as much space now. I mean, yes, we've done remote work, but, that's something to consider over the next 2 years. I've talked to so many attorneys that when they decide to hang it up, at whatever age that is, and they've paid a high rent for 30 years, and then they have nothing to show for that, I just had the thought, well, why not at least buy a building if you're paying the rent anyway? So it's 2 years from now. That's just, I don't know, something that's been on my mind.
Just curious, because this is something that's been on my mind for a while too, because buying a building is something I want to do, but I don't know, my mindset has shifted a little bit over the last few months. So what are your thoughts? I mean, are you thinking that you'll still do that? Are you thinking that maybe a smaller space than what you were thinking? Like, what are you what are your plans? Maybe you haven't fully processed it yet, but because I know I haven't. But what are you thinking?
I still think I'll always have a brick and mortar office. So for that, I'm going to have to pay rent. So why not make a mortgage payment if I'm going to pay rent? I don't necessarily know that I need as big an office as I was thinking, but I do think whatever I purchase, I want to have space to be able to rent out. When I started my first insurance agency over a decade ago, having read business books and such, and bachelor's, and I was getting my master's in business at the time. It's important to keep expenses low. So I bought a duplex, and I lived in one side of the duplex and rented out the other, and the tenant pretty much paid my rent. That being said, I still ran out of money, and about a year into the business, as most small businesses do. Unfortunately, my dad bailed me out. I was able to pay him back later because I actually succeeded in the insurance business. But one of the things that I've learned, I've still got that duplex a decade later, and now both sides are rented out, and I have that income. When I'm looking at purchasing a commercial building, I want to be able to rent out space. Now, what's that look like? Does it mean putting a family lawyer or a criminal lawyer in there? Maybe putting a chiropractor in there, since I do business with those types of people? I don't know, but I do know people always need a space to rent, and rent money is good passive income. So that's something that I'm considering when I'm going to purchase a building. I do think that this has changed some things, that this is going to open up the idea to remote working moving forward. But for me, and I'll speak to my current staff. Yes, we were all set up to work remote, and they all just took their laptops home and rolled with it. But my current staff, they have young kids. And so their productivity, even though they have good intentions, is just not as high at home as it is in the office. So, yeah, we're able to track those metrics of tasks completed and this and that. But they've even admitted to me they like being in the office because they're more focused and they're able to get more done. Now, I think that's a case-by-case basis. I think, others may be able to get just as much done at home. But that's my current staff and the feedback that they've given me. So
Matt, where do you think things are headed down in Texas in the personal injury space in the next couple of years?
I don't know. I guess that's, if I had that crystal ball, I might become the number one player in my market. I think that's one of the things that we struggle with as business owners. What next step do we take? What risk do we take? What next move is going to take us to that level higher that we're trying to get with our respective businesses? I don't necessarily know where it's going at this point.
All right, Matt. So we do need to wrap things up. Before I do, I want to remind everyone to go to the Facebook group, get involved there. We also have this little thing called the Guild that we've started, which is pretty awesome. I think it's exceeded my expectations. I don't know about Jim, but it's definitely exceeded my expectations. And then if you don't mind just taking a couple seconds, you can do it while you're listening to this, and give us a 5-star review. Just go, help spread the love. You know what? You don't even have to write the review. Just click the 5 stars, okay? That's all we ask. But if you could give us a 5-star review and give us a comment, that'd be great as well. All right, Jimmy, what is your hack of the week?
Yesterday in the Guild, Paul Yokobitis mentioned getting a good morning routine system set up. Matt mentioned it today on the show. I'm a big believer in morning reflection, quiet time, not rushing into the day. I try to journal most mornings. I do a little bit of reading as well. As Matt said, it gets my head off, gets my mind in a good place to start the day. So if the coronavirus or whatever's going on in your life has caused you to bounce off your morning routine, even if you are a night owl and stay up late and get up a little later, still figure out a way to find mental space in your day so that you can sort of set your agenda, and I think it'll all pay dividends.
Very good. Very good. Matt, what is your tip or hack of the week?
I think if you're listening to this podcast, then you're most likely a fan of listening to podcasts. So our mutual friend, Bill the Lawman Umansky, has kicked off a podcast, and I think he dropped his 3rd episode today. So if if you're looking for another podcast, go give him a listen. All of his episodes have been less than 30 minutes so far. So give the lawman a listen.
You're listening to the lawman.
Anytime that Bill is mentioned now, Jim has to use the voice. So, voice. We need to have the lawman back on to talk about his new podcast for sure. Yep. All right, so my tip is to reevaluate what you do every day that's wasting your time. Because I was 4 months, I don't have it here anymore. I was going to show it to you, but I had this scanner on my desk. It was this old scanner that I had bought at like EPC, which is like this like computer store that you buy old used computers. And I bought this like 5 years ago. What's that?
You cheap bastard.
I know. It was like, I don't know. I'm cheap. I ironed a patch onto my jeans this morning because I don't want to throw away my jeans. I don't think people realize how frugal I am. But anyways, back to my point. I had to, with this old scanner, I had to go plug a USB into it, scan the paperwork, unplug the USB, and then plug it into my computer and then upload it to Google Drive so it can be coded and then dealt with by the VAs. And I just got sick last week. I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to go actually spend money on a nice scanner because everyone else in the firm has a nice scanner. I don't. And so now I'll just like put a little sheet in the scanner, goes straight to Google Drive, and then it gets coded and put in the files and dealt with by VAs. So my point is, just reassess what's going on, like what may be killing your time, and then fill in that process and make it better. And it's something I should have done a long time ago, especially with all the technology that we use in our firm. I should have done something different with that a long time ago. So that's my point. All right, Matt, thanks so much for coming on, man. It's been really, really good. Thanks for being vulnerable with us. That's awesome. I have a newfound respect for you. And so thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks for listening to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. To stay in contact with your hosts and to access more content, go to MaximumLawyer.com. Have a great week and catch you next time.